And good afternoon. She's Kath Bell.
And he's Richard Slater.
And welcome all of you to this LBV Hub members event. We're delighted to be joined again by so many of our members, both as guests and speakers at this session. These events are designed for a couple of reasons: to help you use our processes better, to get more from LBV Hub, to meet fellow members and to get their interesting stories, and to do some networking at the end, chaotic as it might be. So that's what we're here for. We'll be providing those opportunities so that you can connect with each other, because that's what we're here for. So today we've got coming up interviews with Helen McVey, who's the Chief Executive of Pendleside Hospice. We'll be interviewing Simon Couchman, who's the Joint MD at ICG Online. Oh, I'm meant to give them a hoot, because the hoot is still a part of this event. Who else we get? We're getting some advice from LBV Hub members, Paul Walsh, who's from Burnley Football Club, from Scott Latta of the Wright group, from Gavin Roper of Holker IT, Andrew Robinson at Specialist Taxation Services, and Joan Lind of trybooking.com. So you'll be meeting them all later. Kath, what have you got lined up for us today?
Well, I'm going to look at some ways that members can engage with the audience, new updates we've introduced, and which are going to be coming to the Hub package very soon.
Very good. So stick around at the end, as I said, as we open up this session for a bit of networking. We want to ask you how you think we might be able to develop this event and any thoughts on LBV Hub itself. So that's why we'd like you to stick around and give us a hand with that, if you don't mind. So if you don't mind, I'd like now to introduce our first speaker. And I'm not going to do a big introduction because I'm going to let her do that herself. But would you please welcome to this LBV Hub members event, Helen McVey, who's the Chief Executive of Pendleside Hospice. Helen, welcome to you.
Hi Richard, you okay?
I'm grand. So just tell us a little bit about what you do and what Pendleside Hospice does. What's your work?
So Richard, I'm Chief Exec at Pendleside. So worked at Pendleside for 17 years. Started off as a day services manager. I'm an Aspire background, and luckily the hospice has supported me throughout my career and now to become Chief Exec. So that's really positive. From Pendleside Hospice point of view, what we do is very much supporting people with life-limiting illnesses across Burnley, Pendle, and we also, our inpatient unit also covers Rosendale. And that's looking after people. A lot of people think we're just about providing end-of-life care to people, but that's much, much more than what we do. Yeah, it's part of what we do, but we look after about 1,500 people a year through our different services. And I think that sort of summarises what we do to a degree. Okay, so
tell us a little bit about your role. What's your contribution? How do you work within the business? And I call it a business because it has to operate like a business.
Absolutely, we were a £4.5 million business. That's what it costs us to keep going every year, and we get around about 22% of our funding from the NHS. And the rest we have to fundraise for. So what my role is about driving the strategic direction of the hospice, making sure that we are sustainable going forward. Operate, like any MD of a business, making sure that business is sustainable, generates the income it needs to operate, and spends its money wisely as well at the same time. And also that it delivers what the people of our local community needs us to deliver as well. I think that's just so important. It's no point us going off and delivering something that people don't need. We need to make sure what we do, what our services, our patients do need, is there for them. And I think that's been more important than ever in the last 18 months with the pandemic. We've had to really change what we do because healthcare's changed.
We'll just come back to that in a second. I just want to reflect on what you just said there. I think you said 22% of your budget is provided by NHS. But using my not desperately good mental maths, that's around about £1 million, which means you need to generate more than 3 million yourselves. Is that about right?
Yeah, we need to raise over 3.5 million a year every year to keep going. So massive amount. So
that's just to maintain the services that you have. Yeah. So what's the source of that funding?
So we get that funding in all different ways. General donations, people doing weird and wacky things for us, like jumping out of planes, walking from flippers from Burnley to Nelson and things like that, having the hair shaved off, all those wacky things. That it amazes me what people actually do. Our own events are massive for us as well. You know, I think we've got our pub walk a week on Saturday. It's our second event back that we've been able to do post-COVID, and we hopefully got about 2,000 people at that event. But generally generates about £100,000 for the organisation. So the events that we do have been so important, and that's been massive. And again, in the last 12 months, we've not been able to do them, so we've seen a real shortfall there.
So you know, let's think about that. So it's a tough enough gig without a pandemic. You've got a pandemic which will, I'm assuming, put some strains on your services, but also strains on your fundraising. What have you faced over these last 20 months, perhaps, that we might not have noticed?
Been massive. I suppose it has for every business, hasn't it? So I don't want to think that we're any different than anybody else. But within 6 days of us going into lockdown, we recognised we needed more beds. So we had to increase our bed capacity. We managed to do that in 6 days. We had to move our services to virtual. So our family support and day services went to virtual. Some of our staff had to do 300 hours of training to deliver that, and they did that in their own time and things like that as well. We doubled our inpatient capacity and increased our hospice at home capacity. We look after about normally 450 people out in the community, and that's gone up between 500 and 600 in the last year as well. So that was all massive. We needed to increase the services to meet the need of our community. At the same time, we needed to, we identified at that point we were going to face £1 million deficit by September by the things that we weren't able to do because of being in lockdown. And thankfully, we didn't realise that. We adjusted our fundraising, we looked at different ways. We got a little bit of government support. Our extra beds generated additional income. It was the first time ever we had our beds funded fully, the extra beds fully funded by the NHS, which was really different for us working in partnership in that sort of a way with the NHS as well, but really, really positive. And I suppose one of the things that's been really, really good is that we've developed those relationships over the last year, and business as well. You know, I think the extra beds were actually, we had a donation to be able to convert from business to be able to convert those beds as well. We had businesses providing us with PPE and things like that as well. So it was just amazing how people got behind us and supported us.
I wonder, I think those of us probably looking in and listening to you now will be, and I guess, touched with perhaps possibly admiration, a sense of blimey, I couldn't do what they do. It's incredible. But I wonder those additional pressures that were brought to bear. Let's talk about your frontline service providers to start with. With those additional pressures brought to bear, how did you manage those, and how did people keep it together under those extraordinary circumstances?
To be honest, it's one of those you look back and think, how did we do it? Because it was just like being in this bubble. And, you know, we're having government guidance coming out at 9 o'clock in the morning that was changing at 4 or 5 o'clock about how you look after COVID patients and things like that, and trying to get our heads around what that guidance was. But I think it came down to our culture of our organisation and very much being here, what our ethos is. I don't know if anybody ever remembers our president, Muriel Jobin. She was a lawyer in the area, and first female lawyer in, I'm not sure in the country, but definitely in Lancashire. And she always said the hospice was built by the community for the community. And just having that at the back of our mind all the way through enabled us to be able to know what we were doing was right. I think the hardest thing was like supporting the staff through that. It was quite frightening for our staff when they initially had to look after patients that were COVID positive. And so we needed a lot of reassurance. We had daily virtual meetings where people could come and talk about the pressures they were facing, their worries and their concerns. And, you know, there's a few times I'm thinking, oh God, are we doing the right thing? Are we sending people, you know, in to be poor with themselves and things like that? But you just had to stay with that belief that people needed us and we needed to be there for them, really. And I think that got everybody through.
And while that's all going on, Helen, I mean, I'm thinking about people that are in our audience today. Many of them are leading their own businesses. You've got all that to deal with. How about you as a leadership team? How did you all keep together, and how did you all manage your own those stresses that were brought to bear on the leadership team?
We've got a really good board. I think that was key to our success, as it is for every business, isn't it? Having the right people on your board really makes a difference. And a lot of the people on our board are members of Lancashire Business View and things like that. They're current and they're in the workplace, and that makes a massive difference. So they were experiencing the same problem out there. They understood what our problems were as a senior management team. So I suppose it brought us together. We literally worked, I'm sure like every business did here, 7 days a week. We, as a management team, we decided we wanted to be here alongside our team. So myself and our clinical manager did a rota for 2 months where we made sure one of us was in the building for that first 2 months. And to be honest, when we weren't in the building, we were on the phone to each other as well. But you know what, we've got such a fantastic senior management team as well, all working in, and I think what we had to do was divvy that work up and make sure that we all had something to, at the end of the day. We always had a senior management team every morning. We made an action about what we needed to do that day, and then we reconvened again as the day went on. That communication was just really key to what we needed to do.
Thank you. And finally from me, and then before Kath joins us, where are you going next with the hospice? Where does Pendleside go next? And what can business do to support what I think we all know is vital work, and now we know you need more than £3 million a year of external funding. So where are you going and how can we help?
Yeah, no, that's good. Where we're going next is, it's been lovely. We've this last month really, we started to sort of bring back what we've had to sort of really batten down our hatches to be secure, and we've been able to start opening up. So we've actually seen our day services patients coming back to the day services unit. And, you know, to hear people saying, I've not been out for 18 months, and this is the first place I've been to, I feel safe here. That's just been amazing. It's just been fantastic and just reminded us what we're here to do. I think what's next for us is like really supporting our staff through that recovery process as well, because it's been a real challenging time, and trying to focus on, I think as every business is doing, about that health and well-being of our employees as well. We've just launched a new strategy. So amongst all the pandemic last year, we said, do we put our strategy come to an end? Do we stop it, or do we restart, do the work? And we decided no, it's more important than ever. So we've just launched a new 4-year strategy that gives us 5 pillars of Pendleside about where we focus our attention over the next 5 years. And that's very much around sustainability, making sure we meet the needs of our local community from a clinical perspective, and but really being part, you know, building on that community collaboration that we've really seen in the last 12 months. And I think that's probably where business fits in with us really, is that businesses are so important to Pendleside. You know, we get some great support from the business community, and I should say not just to Pendleside, because you've got other hospices across Lancashire, and I don't want to just be here singing Pendleside's praise and not mentioning them, because they need business support just as much. But really, you know, we run things like our corporate challenge that generates income. We have businesses sponsoring events. We have business that come forward as an ambassador. So it is about that income generation, but that's not all that business can do for Pendleside. I think we still have patients coming in the door that actually said, if I'd have known about your services sooner, we would have come to access your services sooner. So I think businesses can help us spread the word of what we do, encourage people to come to the hospice when they do need that support. It can sometimes be seen as a threatening place to come to, but it really shouldn't be, because as soon as people come here, they really get looked after and things as well. So businesses can do so much for us, but I think it's important to say that not only can businesses do a lot for us, but we can do a lot for businesses as well. It should be a two-way process, and you know, with the social responsibility that businesses have to achieve, we can really help with that as charities as well. And through things that we've done with businesses, we've been able to show that we've improved employee engagement in businesses. We've improved their recruitment processes just by the fact that they support local community. They're seen as a good place to work. So therefore it encourages people to go and work in those businesses as well.
Thanks, Helen. I think what we'll do as part of our follow-up email to all our guests is pop your web address on there. so that they can take a look for themselves. And as you said, there are other hospices. You may have a regional preference, but the hospice is a great movement and they need your support. They're all on the same team. Kath.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Hi, Helen. Just a quick question from me. You've been a member of the Hub for a few months now. You joined this year. I just wondered if you could share with us, please, how you've used the Hub, the benefits you've seen from it, to share with the rest of the audience who may be inspired, or maybe new members. So you may be able to share your thoughts, please.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Christina Court, I think she's on the call today, is our head of corporate, and Christina really works with the LBV Hub, and has found it really beneficial. So I think one of the things she said is it's really easy to use. So she's often sharing information about what we're doing, and that helps spread the word of what we do and our events and things like that. So it makes those connections, and then when we bump into people as well, people say, oh, we've seen what you're doing already. So in a way it does that intro for you, because people already know who you are when you go out to those networking events and things like that as well. So yeah, we just find it really beneficial. It helps us to engage with business. It also helps us to keep up to date with business as well. I found it really helpful. Things have been moving so fast in the last 18 months, haven't they, that keeping up to date with what different things, and I regularly get the updates from yourself, and just seeing what's happening in business, making you realise you're not in it by yourself, you're in it with other people. Really does help.
Thank you. Couldn't put it better myself.
No. Just everything that Helen just said. Write that up. That's new marketing copy. That is. Thanks, Christina. By the way, just one more, Helen. Just Paul Walsh from Burnley Football Club, who's joining us in a little while. He just wants to ask you, how does your job compare now, the work you do now, to what you expected it might have looked when you were 17 years ago when you got cracking? By the way, 17 years ago is when also we launched Lancashire Business View. So there's a nice little bit of synergy.
Oh God, it's a completely different place than it was 17 years ago at Pendleside. But to one degree, but actually the ethos is still there, and the culture that is still there as well. So how my job compares, I suppose I never imagined I'd be chief exec of an organisation that if I'd looked back 17 years, I probably said, oh, you're kidding. I didn't have it in me and things like that.
Now look what you've done.
And then, look what Pendleside have done. They've given me the belief to actually achieve and be, they've supported me. They put me through a degree, a master's degree, really encouraged me to develop. So it isn't the same job, but I'm still able to do what I came here to do, which was to make a difference.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rattle your teacups or whatever you can do at home right now, or in the office, wherever you are, in the garden with a bit of luck, and thank our first guest, Helen McVey. Helen, that was tremendous. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you. So we're just going to shift gear a little bit now. We're just going to take a look at what we want to have a look at what makes a story, and we're going to do this very, very quickly. But we have a few areas to explore. If anybody's got any questions for us, ping them through the chat box. And if we don't do them now, we'll try and do them later on in the event. But go on, we've got some nicely scripted, spontaneous questions here, haven't we, Kath?
Yeah, and the reason for this is that lots of people do come to me asking various questions about this. So why not speak to an expert, a journalist? And
That'll be me.
A publisher, an experienced person in this field. Richard, can you please tell us what are the key elements to a great story?
Yes, I can, Kath. I can tell you what the key elements to a good story are. And it literally is it's 5 W's. Now, if I'd have thought about it, I might have done a little slide for this bit, but everyone would have switched off then. So five W's. The 5 W's: who, what, where, when, why. Now, the key to storytelling for news is to get who, what, where, when, and why in really, really fast. You've got a maximum of 2 paragraphs to tell us those things, because it's the opposite, but a joke is a news story. You do the punchline as quickly as you can, and if you read back your first sentence, you want to see 3 of those things: who, what, and why, where, or when. We want to see 3 of those things. By the way, once you've done all the 5 W's, I'm going too far. I'm going too far with that one. So it's who, what, where, when, why. The most important part of that is the who. And it's no matter if you're in business publications or trade publications or newspapers or telly or whatever it is, we all want to see pictures of people. People want to sell stories, not things. So no matter if you've got a really lovely product to show us that's new, and you're going to show it to the world through your PR, to us or through the hub, or any other way you're going to do it, a huge recommendation. Make sure that the picture, and always have a picture, make sure the picture has a person on it as well that's relevant to the story. So it's the 5 W's. So the other thing there is that you need to put quotes in. Now, every magazine and newspaper operates the same style. It's Kath Bell said, : open quotes. That's how it works. But don't worry if you get the styling wrong, because we'll fix them at LBV Hub. So get a picture with a person on it. Tell me who, what, where, when, why in the first 2 paragraphs. And what was the last bit? I've just said it and I've already forgotten it. Whatever I just said, the last thing, that thing. And if you want to just check what I said for the last thing, you'll be able to watch this again online at some point. There you go. That's the primary start of what I can stretch out to an hour or 6 weeks of training. Up to you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Another quick one. How long should my story be? Maybe we're thinking about hubs specifically.
Oh, here we go. Facts tell, stories sell. That's just come in on the chat box from Rob Hallam, I think. Nice one. Fact, love that. Thank you very much. How long should a short story be? The truth is, it's what it's worth. And that's difficult to assess. So I'm just going to say broadly, if you're going to do an appointment story, a new person in role, a junior appointment, probably 100 to 200 words, senior appointment, 200 to 300 words. The more senior the appointment, you need a quote from the current MD who's just hired, the new FD or whatever it is. Get a quote from saying how good they are. But I would typically don't try and go over 500 words, because there's a lot. Also, can I just say, keep your sentences short. If you were to do a little random check of the sentence lengths in the Sun and the Times today, I'll give you a £5 if the Sun goes more than 23 words typically for a paragraph, and the Times goes more than 27 words for a paragraph, because everybody writes tight. One sentence equals 1 paragraph as well. There you go. Okay, Holly Martin says kiss. Yeah, kiss is perfect. Keep it short and simple. Keep it short and simple. There was another bit of advice that came through. Holly, can you flash that onto my chat box, please? To our group chat, please. Is that okay? So I reckon don't give me more than 500 words unless it's really important. However, if you are pitching an advice column, or if you are pitching like a blog, you can be a bit looser with it. But give it to somebody to read afterwards. Ask them if there's anywhere where it sags, or is there anywhere it's gone off message and drifted. And if they say yes here and here, do as you ask. Take those bits out or correct them. And I will tell you this, not a single piece of work that I have ever written has ever been published without somebody else checking it, changing it and making it better. Because I have, that's not, it's get your work read. Kath, sorry, you are up now. You have really provided us with some great information. Thank you, and advice. I did have another question, but I can tick off everything because we've already answered it. We just wanted to know how to keep the reader engaged, and I'm going to recap then. So how do I keep the reader engaged? Make sure there's a picture. Get your story in quick and then retell it. How do you keep them engaged? Put quotes in, it breaks up the story. How do you keep them engaged? Keep your sentences short. How do you keep them engaged? It's keep it short, simple, snappy. Don't pretend you're writing for a great broadsheet. Get that information in people's ears and eyes quick. How's that?
That is excellent.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, Holly Martin's reminded. Yeah, Holly will send this round. 5 W's. We've done that. Keep it short and simple. Show us people. Include quotes. That'll do. Thanks, Holly. That's brilliant. How's that? Will that do, Kath?
Yeah, perfect. And thank you, Holly. You've included the PDF that some of you will have already seen in the chat about contents and tips, guidance on that line, on the lines of what Richard said, and also the guidelines for posting information, stories, etc. on the hub. So we remember we're always looking for a Lancashire angle.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Good to emphasise. Thanks.
Right,
That's
Kath,
brilliant.
shall we move on?
Excellent. Yeah,
Right,
let's do it.
Holly, who's next? Who's next volunteer? The next volunteer, and we're going to get Simon Couchman, who's the Joint Managing Director of ICG Online Fabulous Marketing PR Agency in Lancashire. But I think the first thing I'd like to ask Simon is, how do you think about it when you want to engage your readers or your viewers or whoever's looking at your messaging?
Probably in a similar way as yourself. Obviously, we have a PR team with an alumni of your previous business, Richard. And yeah, it's very much in the same manner, like get the story or the headline out first and marry that up with engaging imagery, quotes, break up the content. One thing we do find is journalists these days are very short on time. So make it as print ready as you can. So there's no like, like you say, check it, make sure there's no typos, make sure it's as good as that. There's more likelihood that they're just going to print it almost as verbatim as you've written it. And then you've got greater control than, and also build up great relationships with the publications and the editors and the people, the places you want to be seen, build the relationships with those editors. We find that increasingly important, particularly a lot of publications, financially have kind of had to diversify. So it might be as equally important to have a web presence or kind of like give back and do some advertising or some partnership and build the relationships with those publications that you want. And then you in turn almost become that trusted source. The more good content you provide, that you become that trusted source of content. If they ever need an opinion piece or want someone like this, they're more likely to come to you rather than you having to chase all the time. So that's kind of how we tend to go about it.
Well, you know what, that's fantastic free consultancy for everybody here, and I endorse that. It's one of the things we try to do through, you should try to do when you're PRing is to write in the style of the publication you're targeting. And as Simon says, you're literally trying to make life easy for the journalists so they can go, yeah, that works for my audience, boom, next story.
Yeah.
And I think that thing about relationships is a really good point. And I think the best relationships come from people who give us good stories. And so that we know the stories are solid. We don't have to worry about the content. We know it's going to be right because we know those agencies that do that, and we know the businesses that do that. It makes our job a bit easier.
Yeah, and equally as well, say there's, as yourself in LBV, it's not just about getting yourself in the magazine. Have a look. Have you got a website? Have you got social channels? Make sure that you press release your stories, like shared out into your socials and tag in the publication that will likely share it or kind of spread it out. Don't rely on just the printed publication, particularly in this kind of like post-COVID world where, digital's like increased massively. So I certainly recommend that as well.
I think also, even though people are not in the office as much, I think there's a little bit of a general fear of calling a journalist, just ringing somebody up and saying, this is my business, this is what I do. Is there a story here? Ring us up. So it's all good. Simon, let's move this away from masterclass. Let's talk about you. Tell us a bit about ICG. Tell us what you do, who you do it for.
Yeah, well, ICG is what we call a full service agency. So we've been established in Wharton, just outside Preston. We're just down the road from where BAE Systems main gate is. BAE Systems were our first client 28 years ago, which is why we're here. But now we've really spread our wings. We have clients nationally, internationally even, all across mainly the UK. But we, even during COVID, a lot of European clients as well, which is fantastic. We're a team of, or family even, of 23 people, and we're currently trying to find a few more. If anyone's looking, check out our careers page. And we kind of span traditional graphic design, which is obviously my background, PR, and then digital, and certainly increasingly social and paid media. So we're able to offer our clients, you know, a real breadth of kind of services.
Intrigued by that, Simon. What makes you attractive to overseas buyers?
I think it's a combination of a service proposition, a kind of cost base, our expertise. Generally, the relationships for our international clients have spun off from a UK relationship. And certainly during COVID, with things like Zoom and calls, the barriers have kind of really kind of broken down. Yeah. So now, you know, we have clients that are owned by big multinationals, and we started getting involved in conversations with their kind of parent companies, and then that spins off into, oh, actually, well, can you do that for us? And you know, the work.
While you're here, would you mind?
Yeah, well, kind of, and you know, we've been able to deliver that, you know, both remotely and from our kind of our barn here in Wharton.
So you mentioned that, so you've got some positive impacts out of having to change the way you communicate with clients and the way you do business. There must have been stresses in that journey as well.
Yeah, well, I don't think any business would have said that it was easy, but I think certainly a creative agency or digital agencies were very well placed, because a lot of the processes we do are kind of digital, and our systems adapted relatively easily. The start of the COVID, really, it was more about making sure that our staff were okay and their kind of well-being was okay, and then portraying a positive kind of outlook to our clients, that was kind of business as usual, that we were, you know, okay, and we were set up and could carry on delivering our services. You know, it's not easy, but everyone got through it. I think as long as you've kept a smile and kept your positivity and just about and
pretended it wasn't happening for a little while every so often.
Yeah, and a bit of denial, and yeah, then it's, you think it's over and it comes back, but you know, other people have other problems. And speaking, you know, listening to the first speaker, you know, as a commercial business, our challenges have been different and kind of pale sometimes into when you hear, you know, like the funding and what they have to achieve. So
yeah, I don't think
put things in context.
I don't think I'll be alone in thinking that Helen was way too modest there, because I don't think I recognised some of the strains that they were put under.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So as we drift towards something that might become more stable sooner rather than later, what do you see as the key challenges for your business and for your sector, and where do you think the opportunities lie?
I think there's opportunities all around. I think as an agency, we've never been one to stand still. It's actually about my 17th year anniversary this week. So when I joined, it was pretty much a traditional design and PR agency. And I feel that if we'd stayed like that, we probably wouldn't exist anymore, and you have to evolve. You know, we brought on digital and now like social, and you've constantly got to look at your business and your services and listen to your clients and what they're asking for, and make sure that we can provide the services that they need. And sometimes we've had to scale up, sometimes we've had to kind of learn new things. But we've always had to keep one step ahead and make sure we're not resting on our laurels. That way our clients feel reassured that they can come to us and get a lot of the services that they need under one roof. They're not having to go to multiple people and explain their objectives and build relationships with 2 or 3 kind of parallel agencies. They can come to us under one roof, and between us internally, we can you know, act as an extension of their kind of marketing team. We're always about working in partnership, about being open and honest. And I think certainly in Lancashire, I think everyone kind of values that rather than any kind of spin or kind of blag that you might get. We're really straight, and I think our clients
keep it straightforward, guys.
Yeah.
I've got some good questions coming in for you, Simon. What's your favourite? The first one is from Paul Walsh at Burnley Football Club, who's definitely getting his tuppence worth today. What's your favourite media channel?
Well, first I'll have a bit of non-disclosure. I'm a claret and blue, but I'm actually Villa.
Oh, for goodness sake!
We're done. But it's quite hard. I'm still kind of a traditionalist as well, and I still feel there's value in the traditional channels. I still really like out of home, and I think it can be really creative with some executions of out of home. And it might be more things like the fact that you can target the out of home and personalize out of home. I don't think you just have to dismiss traditional media. Same with PR. I'm a big fan still of PR and traditional kind of channels, but it's linking it up with some of the the social media channels, the link building, and when we get in a PR story, half the guys are brilliant. We've got like the masthead, or we've got the top story, and the digital team are asking what the domain authorities of that website. It's kind of like understanding both sides of the coin.
Well, I'm not letting you go without this question. This is from I'm not sure how to pronounce
this was Sean.
Sean. Yeah. So, Simon, what are you dressing up for in your next marathon?
It's a good question. At the minute, I'm injured, so nothing. But yeah, if people that don't know me, I'm known to dress up as lobsters or astronauts during marathons. So I don't know what's next.
How about dressing up as a Lancashire Business View magazine? Just a thought.
Well, you could. It's quite square. I might knock a few people out, but I'm also getting older a bit, so just a t-shirt and shorts and making it easy for myself.
Sorry, we don't mind if you walk. Slower is good. More brand. Keep it moving. Kath, you got a question for Simon.
Yeah, Simon, I never knew that about you. That's I'm thinking of you running as a lobster. It's really strange.
I just give you an idea for a new feature from the magazine. Nutcases of Lancashire.
Simon, you've been your company has been a member of the Hub for a year now, at least. And again, I just wanted to ask what you could share with the audience about how you've used it. What has it done for your business? What could you say that is of benefit to share with the other members here, please?
Yeah, well, I think during COVID, it gave us time to pause and reflect how we actually do our own marketing. And the LBV Hub was something, obviously, very aware of Lancashire Business View. It's something that's been on our to-do list for a while. So it was a good opportunity to actually do it. I think in the absence of traditional networking and getting out there, it was like, okay, we need to up our presence on other channels. Even during COVID, it's been tricky, but we've had a great year. So we wanted to share that success. So the LBV Hub was a great way of being able to share some of the positive stories that we've had.
Keep them coming.
Thank you for sharing. More to the point. That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Sam, you work in a business that is brilliant at generating good stories for other people. It's fantastic to hear good stories from yourselves. We wish you well, and thanks ever so much for joining us today, Simon.
Yeah, no problem.
All the best to you, and all the best to my old mate Paula. So, what's next? Yes, it's what's new. It's what's new. So, thank you to Simon. Kath, what's new in LBV Hub?
Okay, well, a couple of things really I wanted to just share. You asked us for easier events management listing, and you asked us for more social media platforms. We listened, we've done it. So if you can now post times on your events in the Hub, which is a lot easier, agreed, than it was before. So that's one good thing. Another thing is you wanted to have more social media platforms. So we have added Instagram, YouTube, and Pinterest to the Hub. So if you want to add your accounts to your Hub profile, all you have to do is email hub@lancashirebusinessview.co.uk with your handles for those platforms. And just to remember, and we will sort it out for you. Remember that we already have Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, So we've added in more for you, which hopefully will be helpful. And so that's hub@lancashirebusinessview.co.uk. Another thing coming up is that we are planning to launch an LBV Hub members only LinkedIn group before the end of this year. We're thinking about this at the moment. We will be inviting you all to join, and so that you can keep the conversation going online, but within your group. I hope it may be able to facilitate introductions, but if you have any ideas on this and what you think might be good within that, please again send some feedback to us either in the chat box or to me, Kath, at lancashirebusinessview.co.uk. Finally, any ideas to improve the platform in any way, or ideas you'd love to have, please submit them again in the chat box or to me, and I'll repeat it one more time, Kath at lancashirebusinessview.co.uk. We want to react to your hub, make it more relevant to you and offer more value. So that's that. Thanks, Richard.
Cracking. Thank you very much, Kath. That's lovely. Thank you very much indeed. So we'll go on to the closing section of our event, which is what we like, the advice pieces. And this is when we get the hooter in action. All our guests, it's like the Gong Show for anybody of a certain age. The Gong Show is what it is, really. We give up to 5 of our hub members the chance to give us a 60-second pitch. At that 60-second point, they get a blast and they stop. The person who comes closest to 60 seconds without busting 60 seconds wins a prize. What's the prize this week, Kath? Kath will work on the prize. Anybody who wants to take part in this part of the event, just let us know. Send us an email, give us a call, however you want to communicate with us. We'd be delighted to hear from you, because we've got to show you off to each other. If you know each other, there's a chance that you might buy from each other, or that you'll tell other people to buy from each other. And that all feeds nicely into, if you can buy it in Lancashire, buy it in Lancashire. If you can buy it from an LBV Hub member, buy it from an LBV Hub member. So here we go. They've got 60 seconds. They've got a pitch that they're going to make to you. I've got the hooter ready and my stopwatch. Holly, are you bringing them all on together, or are you doing it one by one?
They're all coming on together on the way now.
Oh, this is exciting. We'll just give it a few seconds. I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen. This is like it's like the generation game. It's going to be insanely good fun.
Oh.
So yeah. Holly's there, Andrew's there. Paul Walsh has been warming up with a bunch of questions already. I think
Nearly there.
Right, we are ready to go. And first up, would you please welcome Local Brands Partnership Executive from Lancashire's only Premiership football club, Burnley Football Club. Would you please welcome Paul Walsh? Off you go, sir.
Right, okay. If you want to facilitate me helping you to talk to a truly global audience, then Burnley FC can give you that. I want to give you some facts. Every Burnley game goes into 758 million households in 192 countries across the whole globe. And we have 1.5 social media followers. That's broken down into Facebook, 464,000, Twitter, 590,000, Instagram, 401,000, YouTube, 68,000, TikTok, 72,000, LinkedIn, 12,000. I want to help you speak to and get your message across to all those businesses. So please look me up on LinkedIn and let's have a one-to-one.
Fantastic. Sir, you've done a magnificent job. I'm going to give you a plug. You can do corporate Christmas at the Turf, and just get in touch. Paul, fantastic. Thank you, sir. And who's next up? Next up is Scott Latta, and Scott is the social value manager at, I think, the county's largest construction and related firm, the Eric Wright Group. Scott, you are welcome. Over to you, sir.
Brilliant. Yeah, I just wanted to give you a quick overview on social value at the Eric Wright Group. For those of you who don't know, we're a construction and property business based in Lancashire. But what's unique about the Eric Wright Group is we're 100% owned by the Eric Wright Charitable Trust. This has created a unique long-term partnership between the commercial aspect of our business and the charitable arms, building upon a philosophy that social integration goes beyond sort of social responsibility and enabling the entire organisation to function as a social enterprise effectively. All profits generated by the group are distributed either back into the business or through to the trust, which has a charitable giving strategy throughout the Northwest, and we generally give £1.8 million a year to the trust to give to the charities that they choose to work with. The ownership structure of the group by the trust is a reflection of our belief that the corporate strategy should be linked with social progress, recognising that...
Your time's up, but don't go just yet. I've got one question. The question is this: can I, if you choose to work with the Eric Wright Group because of your corporate credentials, your CSR credentials, do they reflect on me if I buy your services?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
So if we use a business like yours, which has such a dedication to CSR, to its people, to its communities, does that look good if on me if I engage a business like yours?
Yeah, definitely so. When we sort of look for subcontractors on our projects, we look at people who've got a similar ethos to us. So yeah, anyone that's sort of working with us, you know, that reputation certainly reflects on you.
So that's brilliant. I just wanted to clarify that. Sir, you've been a diamond. Thank you, Scott Latta. Third up, would you please welcome the head of new business at Holker IT, the fabulous Mr. Gavin Roper. Gavin, over to you.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Gavin Roper. I'm representing Holker IT today. We are the biggest IT support business in Lancashire. Why? Because we've got a £5 million turnover and we've got 46 staff. We're a fully managed MSP, which basically means to you that we can deliver IT security and support, and also help with your telecoms such as VoIP and your print. IT security is the heart of our business, and we are a cyber accredited reporter. The difference is though between us and other IT business is that we've got our own cloud services, which gives you your company more flexibility and price security. I'm Gavin at IT, Holker IT. Thank you.
Gavin, apart from the fact that I wish you'd stuck with saying we are a fully managed IT business before correcting yourself to fully managed IT business, that was superb, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
It's a talking point though, doesn't it, Richard?
Oh, I will have that. Thanks,
you.
Gavin. Next up, would you please welcome from Specialist Taxation Services, a director at that business, Mr. Andrew Robinson. Andrew, over to you.
Thank you, Richard. Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk about research and development tax credits today. So everyone likes to pay less tax, and particularly over the last sort of 16 months when everything's gone more digital, more technology based, a lot of companies don't realize it, but they could be entitled to research and development tax credits. So what are they? They're an advancement in science and technology where companies have improved the product or developed one themselves. They also entitles them to an extra 130% of expenses, which is deductible for corporation tax purposes. For example, if you have £10,000 of qualifying expenses, you can get an extra £13,000 expenses, which produce a tax credit of £2,470. So if you're aware of that and you think you're capable of that, contact us or contact your accountant, and they should put you in the correct place. Thank you.
Oh, my word, that was an absolutely superb piece, but I have got one question for you. Andrew, in my head, R&D tax credits sounds like a thing that big businesses go for. Please tell me I'm talking rubbish.
You are talking rubbish. There are two levels, so large companies do go through a different format, but for SMEs, it's vitally important. It is open to all companies. All opportunities are there for companies, even however small. If you can reclaim that tax credit, you can do. So it is open to all companies, not just the larger firms.
Andrew Robinson, you're a diamond. Thank you, sir. Finally, would you welcome to the house Joan Lind from Try Booking, not only from Try Booking, director of Try Booking. Joan, the house and the floor is yours.
Thank you. And more importantly, I'm an entrepreneur in residence at Lancaster University, which I'm very proud of. So look, I run a national online booking, registration, ticketing platform. So hands up if you're starting to plan real life events. Well, no matter what the government guidelines say, your different guests, delegates are going to have different views and nervousnesses or confidences about returning. And that's where platforms like TryBooking really help organisations, from universities to businesses, to really help manage social distancing. All sorts of interesting features to help you, social distance seating plans, set allocations, all sorts. So please, if you manage events normally, the old way, before COVID, think again, because there's lots of extra things you're going to have to think about to really make your conference, your course, your event go really, really well. And if you're really struggling, give us a call and we'll tell you how to do it. Thank you.
Joan Lind, that was absolutely superb. What's my follow-up question for you? What's the follow-up question I was going to ask you? Oh, I had it in my head and it's dropped out of my head. Right, ladies and gentlemen, when I remember the follow-up question, I will ask it, Joan, and we'll put it in the pack that we send round. If I don't remember it, just imagine we did. Now, you will, ladies and gentlemen, have noticed a certain thing there. Only one person got a blast. And so I'm afraid that, Scott, you are not our winner today from the Eric Wright group, but you are a winner in many other ways, and you know that, sir. But good effort from everybody else. But our winner today, I have to say, with a near perfect 59.2 seconds, and it only won it by 1 second. The winner today is Andrew Robinson with 59.2 seconds. Second was Joan Lind, 58.4 seconds. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. You want to give a 60-second presentation? That's how you give a 60-second presentation. You've been all fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can find a way to do business with the people who you've just heard from, or you've got customers, friends, anything, who can find a way to do business with the people you've just heard from, why wouldn't you find a way for those people to do business with the people you just heard from? And stick around in a moment, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to open up for Daft O'Clock networking for a little while. There are lots of people here that you can do business with. Right, let's move on. So, closing announcements, and then we'll go to that networking thing. We've got a launch event coming next Tuesday, the 14th of September, for the release of the 100th issue of Lancashire Business View magazine. Very excited about that. Just a few of the magazines, really. It's a bit of a wallow in our history, but not entirely. There's a lot of new stuff in there too. But we've got some great guests. We've got Debbie Francis, who's the chair of the Lancashire Enterprise Partnership. We've got Edwin Booth, who has been the chair of the Lancashire Enterprise Partnership, but is now, of course, chairman and chief exec of Booths, the finest independent supermarket on the planet. We've got Cam Cothier, who's the chief exec of eBusiness UK. We've got a bunch of other people. Tickets are limited. I think we've got 85 available because it's a COVID secure event. 85 available, and they are going fast. So I recommend you go for that quick. Another event coming up is on the 30th of September. That's the Lancashire Property Conference. We'll bring you back that. That one we're doing online. Some of our conferences work better online because I can get guests in from either overseas or in the south. And confirm, one of our guests that I've just confirmed is Wayne Hemingway. And Wayne is the great designer and designer of homes. That's why he's there, homes and living spaces. So that's going to happen. That's happening on the 30th of September. These are free events, by the way. There's no cost for these. And then we've got, oh yes, this is our last chance call tomorrow morning. And Simon Couchman got me thinking about this earlier. Tomorrow morning, we've got a session that we're hosting jointly with the Department for International Trade. It's at 9 o'clock. It's 9 till 10. It's an hour of your time. Now, it is geared at Southeast Asia Pacific markets, and it is geared for tech and digital businesses. But there's a lot to learn, whatever sector you're in and whatever territory you're aiming for. We've got some really good guests, people who are overseas traders. And we've got businesses that generates tens and tens of millions of pounds in revenue. But I've got a small business as one of my panelists. They do 100,000 a year. Only 5K of that is overseas trade. It's a start, and it's a start of something. And I bet Simon Couchman, if I had him back, would say something like, you got to start somewhere. And it maybe just starts with a phone call or meeting a multinational owner of a Preston-based business. Whatever it is, there's a lot to learn. And I think, and we've got this phrase at Lancashire Business View: if you can buy it in Lancashire, buy it in Lancashire. My extension to that is, if you can sell it round Lancashire, you can sell it round the world. Join us tomorrow morning and learn how. So finally, I'm almost done. Oh, Kath, thank yous, aren't we? What we're doing?
Yeah. Let me thank a few people.
Yes.
Lots of people Thank you to Helen McVey from Pendleside Hospice and Simon Couchman from ICG as our guest speakers. Thank you very much. And then not forgetting our hub advice givers, who were Paul Walsh from Burnley FC, Scott Latta from the Wright Group, Gavin Roper from Holker IT, Andrew Robinson from the Specialist Taxation Services, and last but not least, Joan Lind of trybooking.com. So a big thanks to you all. Richard.
Everybody, it's been I really enjoy these events. We've done it bang on time, so we get a Mars bar as a bonus for that. And probably a thank you from everybody else who'll be able to finish on time today. So stick around. We're going to do half an hour or so of knockabout stuff in the networking room. We aim to provide inspiration, advice, and opportunity. I hope we've met that promise somewhere along the line. Stick with us. We're going to networking. Thanks. It's been ace. This is Richard Slater, and that's Kath Bell. Cheers.
Bye. Thank you.